So I just wanted to make a little video on how I came to be having of crazy wisdom. Um, if you don't know, now you know. Crazy wisdom is a state of mind that you can unlock, just like a lot. And there's paths to enlightenment, just like Zen Buddhism, just like Vajrayana Buddhism, Mahayana, Hinayana Buddhism. All of these are different ways for you to become enlightened through different practices. You know, some yogas involve mantras, blah blah blah. This video is how I came to be in contact with crazy wisdom and the unfortunate reality that is, I guess you would say the lore behind crazy wisdom and how I came to be in contact with it. So, if you were to say that my guru, Christopher Donnelly, he was a homeless man around the time of the Portland BLM protest that I've met. And he would incessantly talk about crazy wisdom. I mean, it was unending the amount of like he would just talk about crazy wisdom. He was like, yeah, I would, but why would he talk about it so much? So he met some guy out in the woods in Olympia, Washington, that had become enlightened through the use of MDMA. And he was able to destroy clouds with his eyesight. That's kind of like the thing that he really touched upon. However, why was he living in the woods? Because he essentially almost became kind of damaged by the visceralness of it all through the pillar of MDMA to enlightenment. There was so much. It was almost like he became too spiky. Like there was still too much like residual karma left over that he hadn't really breathed out. However, he realized the true nature of reality, and so he went to some monks in some nearby temple, and he was like, "Hey, this happened," and they were like, "Yo, you gotta live in the woods, bro, and just wait it out." And so he did, and Christopher met him, and he feels like he came in contact with. He feels like the transmission of crazy wisdom transferred to him, and from him, it transferred onto me. Now, just because you have crazy wisdom, okay, doesn't mean you totally have experienced the totality of crazy wisdom, okay? This book has a lot of chapters. Now, just because you've experienced the first chapter doesn't mean that you've experienced the second, third, fourth, fifth, etc. Christopher is someone who had experienced the first chapter, and which was a profound knowing of hopelessness. A hopelessness to such an extent that it exceeded the written down understanding of this book. Hopelessness went so deep that he took it down to the moment to moment experience. I mean, as it is written down in this book, it's just not overtly stated. That's a very key note. It's not overtly stated. It's only if it's a wink and a nod for niggas who know. If you on that sauce, you on that sauce. So Christopher, in the chapter Hopelessness, he reached essentially the pinnacle of hopelessness. And he had some trailings of innocence, okay, of the king, of the child becoming the king, which was the second chapter, okay? Now, I came along, I understood hopelessness, and I got to the pinnacle of hopelessness, and from hopelessness, I then got to the pinnacle of how do I say, of the innocence is king through, if you want to understand that, watch my Crazy Wisdom as It Is video. And not just the second chapter, I went to the beginning of the third chapter, which was the part of you becoming, of you on a mountaintop, dancing with two different weapons, and then you kill a baby. Like this is all like a mother and a child, and this is all representations of like Buddhist analogies. But these are literal states of mind with secret encoded messages that you experience, integrate, and allow for the ascension, for the enlightenment of all sentient beings. And I wish Christopher went further beyond. It is like I wish Christopher was ahead of me to some extent, because then I would have a teacher that I could rely upon. However, whenever I came to the pinnacle of innocence, it then became blatant that he did not understand the full compassion and the full extent and the total brevity of innocence is king. And I was the one who then finally sort of did a checkmate, a sort of aha, like a grasshopper has defeated the teacher, the sensei, in a way. And because of Christopher's incessant use of meth, and because of Christopher's unending karma when it comes to him not caring about the enlightenment of himself. He said, I don't care about the enlightenment of myself. At the end of the day, I just really want an interesting life. The bikinis, if you will, and this is maybe a little bit of an over-exaggeration, but he didn't really I feel as though he didn't really potentiate enough karma to sort of pierce the veil, to sort of purify his own and cleanse his own karma, and essentially make his life easier and better to get to the next echelon of crazy wisdom. And it saddens me because I feel I'm a part of his flaws. I've given him the cold shoulder one too many times through us battling. He was homeless at the time, and I did, through a fight of ours, just say, no, fuck this nigga. Like, he's gonna do all this shit to me. Fuck this nigga. Instead of understanding the camaraderie of it all, instead of understanding the beautiful connection and prioritizing that beyond anything else, that we were both experiencing something totally unique, something totally beautiful, something totally special that has not been done before and is not understood by my damn near anyone. And it is unfortunate that this is the reality, and this is where the sort of I wish Christopher was farther ahead of me, because then he would still be sane. He would still be somewhat coherent and sensible, and not just to belittle him totally. He's still somewhat there. However, if he understood, the total teachings of crazy wisdom, of total integration, of mud into fuel, of total innocence being the ruling force, to the extent of infinity throughout all potentials, where mud can certainly be a potential solution to a given situation. And I have to dance around that carefully. It is unfortunate that it is the way it is. And not to say, there is benefits to meth. Okay, I'm just going to say that right here, right now. Christopher did attain lost and forgotten techniques of war, Buddhist war techniques. The tale of the Monkey King, which is a perfect example. It's just like he activated residual DNA to gain the energetic conduit of his tail, which we have our own tail bump, but we don't have the tail. and it had changed his balance, and it had an awareness of his own. And he's essentially like a perfect mad scientist, and really was a great teacher to me. And the thing is that his reference point, his linguistic reference point, his experiential reference point became so overtaken by the hallucinations that, and so overtaken by the delusions, that he was walking on earth, but his mind was not. He became so deep into the schizophrenia that he got lost in the sauce. And it was partially my fault. I didn't listen. I chose not to listen to the synchronicities whenever they were happening, and such is my karma. Yeah, I wish I had a better note to end this on. At the end of the day, this is all for the enlightenment of all sentient beings. We're gonna fucking figure this out. We're gonna fucking dance on top of mountains with fire, and we're gonna become immortals, and we're gonna pray for the enlightenment of all sentient beings with this energy we've cultivated. Hallelujah, hoorah! This is not the end. My injury is not finished. Like, it's not the end of me. We got this. To infinity and beyond. Crazy wisdom as it is, nigga. It's the truth. Peace.